Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, one God. Just a very brief teaching. Very brief because it's still Pascha, and I don't want to take too much time, because Pascha is finished now this coming Wednesday. It's the mid-feast this Wednesday. And then we have a new feast of Ascension. So the 40 days, it goes like that, and just like our life, the 40 years just goes like that, and then our life just goes like that. How refreshing. And we still live in this Paschal moment still. So that's such a blessing. I thought I would just talk a little bit about blindness, just a moment, because of Christ's healing and salvific work. I'm just going to talk about one aspect of blindness. And that aspect is it's not a catastrophe, blindness, in and of itself. Any kind of blindness is not a catastrophe that cannot be overcome, if that makes sense. In other words, I'm blind. We're all blind some way, right? And first of all, as we enter the church, as we get closer to Christ in the church, as we get closer to the Holy Mysteries, right, we realize our blindness. We realize that there's something watching, over our eyes. Something holding us back from seeing the truth. And that truth, by the way, is the truth about me. The truth about myself. Right? It's the very last thing to leave this life with us, is that false identity. Once we finally shed that facade, trying to please people, trying to make believe we're this person or that person, trying to make some sense out of putting all the pieces together of this world. Once we get past that, once we somehow get to the point where, wow, my eyes are open, then we will see, and we will say, just like the blind man would say, who is this person that opened your eyes? He's a prophet. That was what the blind man said. He's a prophet. And we know that he's not only a prophet, but prophet of prophets, Son of God, amazing Lord and giver of life, our Holy Messiah, our Savior, light of light, true God of true God. And how can you see light of light? How can you see true God of true God? If I continue to have this blindness somehow, if I continue to let things, and I was just telling somebody this, something had come up. Let things and people influence me, affect me. Let them affect me to the point where, just think about that. Every time that happens, there's another layer of blindness that goes over us. It becomes very dark. Very dark. Do you have troubles? Do you have some concerns, some worries about this virus? Do you have some concerns about the money that you're struggling with these days? Do you have some concern about all the crazy people that are doing crazy things in my life and in the world, right? If you have concerns about them, you're blind. You're blind. That's it. Because how can you look at Jesus? How can you be totally with him as long as there's something there? I have this person that's harmed me. I have this disease that's harming me. I have this finances that's harming me. Okay, then guess what? You're going to be looking at that stuff. You're going to be looking. And the enemy will make sure that it happens 100 times more today in all different arenas of your life. Watch. You test yourself. You say, okay, let's see what's going to happen here. And something will happen. And then, if you remember the peace of Christ, let's say, since we're talking about blindness, the light of Christ. If you get sort of full of light in your mind, in your soul, you won't see anything else. You won't see all of this other reality, political reality, economic reality, health reality, bodily health reality. That, believe it or not, I'll give you a little confession. I'll give you a little confession, and this is being taped, so I have to be careful how I word it. I can't be as intimate with my own people like I normally am. The confession is, what has affected me the most in this time is not fear or this. It's like all of the concerns and worries and troubles and harshness and everything coming from people, coming from like those around us. Wham, 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 wham. Isn't it true? Isn't it true for you, even in your own house? Wham, wham, wham. And each of those things causes us to react. Hopefully not, but if it does, the enemy is successful. He wants it to cause us to react. Something, some thought, some concern, some person, some big heavy thing over us, big darkness. Darkness equals blindness, you see? And we have concerned ourselves with so much in so little time, in just like 2-3 months. We've concerned ourselves with more than we should in one lifetime in 2-3 months. It blocks us. It harms us. Time to shed that. Before Pascha is over, right? So I give you 3 days. Before Pascha is over, shed that. Why? So that I can ascend with the Lord this coming Thursday. So I can ascend into the kingdom of heaven. And not even keep my feet on this ground anymore. And then if I have a job to do, like if I have to go to work and make some money or something, I'll do it in a different spirit. I'll do it with my feet on the ground and my head in the heavens. I'll do it with, the tasks at hand. But those tasks will not be something that I worship or, that somehow are being focused on too much. I can do anything that's not sinful. And yet, worship Christ. Yet, transfigure my life. Even by doing the same old job. Isn't that interesting? Even by having the same old relationships. What happens if, I'm struggling with somebody in my life? What happens if I'm struggling with my spouse? That same old, tired relationship. What? Unless I transfigure that. Unless in my everyday workings with that dear person, I'm throwing myself on the mercy of Christ and offering myself to the other person, that relationship will be over. It's over already, if that's the case. But it will become a catastrophe. Be careful. Be careful of all these relationships, because the enemy is the one who divides. Remember we had that whole sermon a couple weeks back on division. Division. Like we're trying to bring our parish back together again. So that we might not even do Facebook, maybe not even another week, we'll see. But make a comment if you want this to continue, let me know that. But to bring our parish back together again, once everything is lifted, and you watch, even that's going to take a lot of struggle, a lot of time. Why? Because we're still afraid. Because we still have bad feelings of something or other. Because we're still struggling with something that's blinding me. And we should probably talk about like particulars. Because we have today like 25 people in the church. There's 25 different situations where people are struggling with one degree of blindness or another. No one has the pure heart. No one is totally illumined. You know the word illumination? It means I've shed all the spiritual blindness and I'm seeing exactly the picture that God is seeing. I'm seeing exactly how God sees. That's illumination. I don't know if anybody can say that. Be careful. I see the way God sees. Be careful. Because there's something still probably there. If you say it like that, there's definitely something there. It's called the spiritual pride, the blindness of me. And that's the lens that we've been looking at the sickness, the economics, the politics. The lens has been me. Me. Why? Because I am the final stopping point of all truth and all knowledge. See, if we're going to heal our families, because there's a lot of work, even before the epidemic, of families, big problems in families. Why? Blindness. Like getting lost in this darkness and thinking that what I'm doing is walking in the light somehow. Why? Because that's what I feel. I feel that. It's important to me. I am the boss. I am the chief. We keep doing that, and look what happens. Then we get this international, worldwide thing happening, and most people are looking at that reality through this lens of blindness. We're seeing nothing. We're understanding less. We're experiencing something selfish, something like closed off, something that's being affected by our blindness. You get it? So this poor guy in the gospel, he can teach us something. You notice? He's not only physically healed of blindness, he's spiritually healed of blindness. He's able to stand up against the powers of the time, the earthly powers, the religious powers. He stands up and he says, why do you ask me the same question over? This is Jesus Christ. He has healed me. He has given me, he's a prophet. He's, why are you asking me? Do you want to be one of his disciples too? You see how they got upset after that, right? So if people don't understand who we are, first of all, become who you're supposed to be. Become who you are. And if they don't get that, right, if they don't understand that, they'll react a little bit different. It'll be difficult. Think about your, friends who are not Orthodox, people who are not, struggling for this kind of illumination, and talk to them. And you know what they'll be talking about? They'll be talking about politics. They'll be talking about the sickness, and they'll be talking about how it's affected them. I do this, I do that, I'm afraid to do this, I'm afraid, etc., etc., etc. We have enough of that, creeping up in our own souls. We have to fight that with all of our might so that we can inspire people. Do you have people in your life who have never even heard this message of the gospel? Who have never even heard the idea that no matter what's going on in the world, my heart is not blind. It's not, it's not looking at anything that's trying to distract me. It's keeping me on target. Why? It's filled with Jesus Christ. Then you have a door open. You have something to teach. You have something to say. You have something to give. Otherwise, please be quiet. We have nothing to give otherwise. We have nothing to say if we're not saying the words of Jesus Christ. If we're not teaching Christ and Him crucified and Him resurrected and Him ascended this week and Him sitting at the right hand of the Father and Him coming again in glory to judge the living and the dead, etc. And everything we do is about Him. If we're not saying that, I want to know what we're saying. I want to know what's so important that we need to be talking about it, right? Because we're not giving anybody real life if we do that. We're not giving them anything but some dead ashes, just some more, It's okay to have fun. What's the word? Frivolity even. People who know me know that I love to joke. But at the same time, always in the forefront, always in front of us, is the Master, Jesus Christ. And it's time to be serious. And when serious things are happening, it's really time to be serious. So you can have the joy of Christ. You can have always a bright countenance and nothing affect you, right? And be happy with people and embrace them. You don't have to be glum or angry or even sad leading to depression. We can be for each other because we're for Christ. If we stay with Christ, then if we're staying with Christ, He'll be with you as you share with these others, my family, my beloved ones, the people I meet outside. They'll see, hey, this person is not blind, right? Even if you have a big mask on, goggles and everything, they'll say, hey, this person is not blind. It should be able to penetrate all the, what are they calling it, PPP? personal equipment or something. So that's the person. Shine out of that. Shine forth. Be bright. Be brilliant. Take this Pascha with you into the summer now. Because God knows what's ahead of us this week, this month, this coming year. God knows. Be Paschal. Be bright. Be illumined.